Uh, so here I am. I'm back in business. Uh, this is my first ever Facebook Live. You would think after watching my wife do these for so long that she's been doing it for like 3 years now that I would know what I was doing. But no, I'm like shaking. I'm nervous. Uh, I don't know. But I'm getting out of my comfort zone. It's time to grow as a person and become a better person. So I wanted to share some information with you. Uh, I've got notes all over the place because I'm really nervous. So please bear with me. But so about 11 months ago, I started this journey where I woke up. It was last April, and I wasn't happy. I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I didn't like the person that I was. Didn't like the person I was becoming. I looked into the future, 5 years into the future, and saw the trajectory of my life, and I wasn't happy with it. So I decided it was time for a change. Um, when I made those decisions 11 months ago to really look at myself and look in the mirror, I wasn't happy. And, so I decided that it was time for change. So I needed to get out of my comfort zone. Um, Comfort zones are a good thing and a bad thing. If we stay in our comfort zone our entire lives, do we really grow as a person? For me, my comfort zone was just that. For 35 years, I thought that I was doing things normally. We live in a society now with, normal is completely, it's different. We live in for me, my normal back then, for 35 years was, talking like a sailor. I grew up playing sports with guys, so normal locker room, gym talk, it was kind of normal. We're in the world now where smoking marijuana is now legal. It's a recreational activity. Drinking beer and getting drunk was part of my life. Gambling, you can gamble now. That was normal. Viewing pornography was normal. Comparing myself to others on social media, so I was, just comparing myself. So everything that I was doing, which society was telling me was normal, was fine. I was doing this. However, on the inside, I was empty. I just felt like complete garbage. And as I'm getting into this, doing this live now, I realize that I'm being vulnerable. And that's a weird place to be. Like, it feels weird. As a man, we're not supposed to show our feelings. We're not necessarily supposed to be vulnerable, but, here we are. And I have, as far as this live's going, my notes now are completely off track. I don't know where I'm going. So give me just a second here. But like I said, these were all parts of my normal. When I woke up 11 months ago and I said, enough's enough, I'm going to take action. I hired a coach, a life coach that was going to help me get there. And, I went through a bunch of exercises, learning about myself, of what I wanted, where I wanted to be, what was going to help me to feel, like a real man. We live in a society where men aren't supposed to show feelings. We're not supposed to feel vulnerable. We're not supposed to do this. And when I started this process, then, I've always been kind of a spiritual guy, but the scripture, Romans 12:2, it smacked me right in the face. And it says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that hit me because for 35 years straight, Mike Newhart has conformed to the ways of society. And, for 35 years, I had been trying to do it my way, which, from the outside looking in, it probably looked pretty good. There's this Mike Newhart. He's got a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful kids, a dog, a cat. I've been self-employed for like 9 or 10 years. I was, from the outside, I looked like a good guy, but inside I felt empty. I was living that was my saying. I was living the American dream, but deep down, I just wasn't happy. So when I started this journey, it was more of a spiritual journey for me, and that scripture hit me right in the face, and I knew then it was time to decide what I wanted to do, and I knew that conforming to society anymore wasn't it, but I knew that it was time to start transforming my mind and to truly become the person that God had created me to be. Um, Number one, it was for me to be the spiritual leader of my family. It's hard to say that now because I lived in a lot of shame and regret for a long, long time because of the way that I had lived. And so now to give my life to the Lord and really say, hey, I'm going to be a spiritual leader for my family. I'm going to be the loving, supportive husband for my wife that she deserves, because, that's what she deserves, to be the kind of father that my kids look up to, and they say, when they grow up, what, that's my dad, and I'm proud of him. A leader in the community. I used to say, I was never one to talk about stuff, but I would lead by example. But my example was terrible. I was the dude that would get everybody together to party and have fun. It's weird. It's all kind of come full circle because now I kind of got a little men's small group together. Well, with the help of some buddies, but now there's 8 to 10 of us that do a devotional every morning. So from partying now to doing devotionals, like the transformation of Mike Newhart's life is just it's changing, and I'm 11 months in, but I'm learning every single day on different things I want to do. So yeah, be a leader in a community, and also just help to be a healer of men. I know that I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. These things in the world that are normal are just that. They're normal. Am I still going to use foul language occasionally? Probably. A lot of these things, I'm not opposed to drinking beer. It doesn't really do much for me because I get hangovers, and my drinking beer days are kind of over with. All of that stuff. There's nothing. I'm not opposed to. I would never judge somebody for doing that, but for me, it wasn't working. So that's why I needed to see some changes in my life. And with that said, I've started this journey, and I'm hoping that over time, because being self-employed for 10 years, I've got a lot of experience with entrepreneurship, learning, changing my entire life now over the course of 11 months. I mean, you can ask my wife, like, it's just changed. Our relationship, our marriage has grown more in these last 11 months than it did in the previous 9 years we were together. And I know it's not me. I know that it's God working in me, working in her, working in our relationship. And, so all of this, none of this story is about Mike Newhart. It's more about God's story and him, changing my life. And, it's been a remarkable progress. It's one of those things too. I like to use the analogy, progress over perfection. I'm never going to be perfect, but every single day I'm going to take steps, to become perfect, which I know that's not reality. I'm never going to be perfect, but progress over perfection. So, going forward, these next, I don't know how many years this takes, I'm going to start doing these live videos every Thursday. Hopefully I can bring a little bit of value or a little gold nugget to, to help somebody go throughout their day. And, if anybody needs any encouragement or help, I'd love to help somebody. So, here we go. Let's do this. All right, guys, have a good day.